Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm happy to be here with my viral wisdom, number 72. So join me, tell me where you're joining in from. Hi, guys. Let me put on Instagram. Hey, everyone. I'm here with viral wisdom number 72. Yes, 72 of them. They're all stored on my YouTube, so find them there. And as you sign in, tell me where you're signing in from. I'm happy to be here, excited to talk a little bit about the state of our affairs and our mind and how we can help ourselves better. So join in, tell me how you're doing. Give me one word to describe how you've been feeling. What's one word that would capture how you're feeling these days? Viral wisdom number 72, Dubai, Mexico. Happy to see you all. We just wait for a few more minutes and then I will dive in. Boise, Idaho, Texas, London. Helen is feeling foggy. What's a word that would describe your state of affairs? And just before I continue and forget, my sisterhood community, Luminous, is open. If you're looking for connection globally with other like-minded, conscious, growth-seeking in women in particular, join my Luminous community. Somebody will post the link. And if you're looking for help and you want somebody to just guide you or burst you into a different momentum, you can email me and I will connect you with one of my coaches. Hashtag help in the subject line and write to office@drshefali.com. drshefali.com. office@drshefali.com and hashtag help so that I can connect you with one of my coaches. Because one thing I know for sure is that everyone needs support right now. So one of the powerful things that I've been observing in this pandemic, being a helper, a caregiver of the soul, so to speak, is that our capacity or tolerance for superficiality is decreasing. Our capacity to be open and vulnerable and courageous and brave and share is deepening. So, what does that mean? That means adversity, which we are all globally enduring. We're all feeling the adversity of the present moment. Adversity has the power to take us to the core of our truth. I always say pain is a portal for transformation. The reason I say that and what that really means is that when we endure acute pain, like we all are doing right now globally, we are all enduring some acute pain. This is not easy for anyone. When we endure pain, it decimates, it annihilates our superficial barriers that we were ordinarily operating under. All our personas, our masks, they shatter, they crumble, because pain has that capacity. You can't fake it anymore. You can't be inauthentic anymore. This is the power and the challenge of pain. Pain comes and just ramrods all your defenses, all your facades, all your superficialities, all your masks, and you're suddenly laid bare. And this is the tragedy of pain, because it just shatters you, it just splits you open. But there is power in this pain. And one of the key powerful transforming agents of pain is that it actually takes you out of your ego. It takes you out of your protection, of your defenses. And why is this powerful? Is because it takes you closer to your authentic self. Most of us have been living lives in a shroud of egoic defenses. with masks on. We just don't realize it. But yet, when a tsunami hits, or an earthquake hits, or this pandemic hits, death, abandonment, some sort of relational betrayal, it splits you apart. And what it's doing, why is it so painful? It's painful mainly because your habitual egoic defenses of comfort, of stability, of relying on predictability, of thinking that you are in control, those egoic defenses are shattered. And now you are forced to confront yourself and reality as it is. And this is what is painful, that we are now being asked to confront reality as it is. Now, technically, this shouldn't be painful. If we were always living in line with our authentic truth, then pain wouldn't be able to shatter us in this way. The reason many of us are feeling this sting and this stab of acute suffering right now is because we were relying on false egoic defenses of control, stagnation, predictability, and believing that we knew the future. The pandemic comes, or anything, terminal illness, death, any big calamity comes, and it shakes you apart. But why does it shake us apart? Yes, it on its own is tough, but more tough because of our mental attachments. We were mentally attached to how things should have been. And when that gets shattered, there is great inner turmoil. So when you're going through inner turmoil, the first thing you need to ask is, what was I attached to? That's what I ask. I go, I'm in pain right now. And I understand that pain is painful on and in itself. But why am I really suffering right now? Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Why am I suffering? I'm suffering because I was living with false mental assumptions. I was in a mental fog, and that fog has now been shattered. My illusion of predictability and control has been annihilated, has been torpedoed. That is why we suffer. Pain is painful, no doubt about it. And it's inevitable with life. You will break your elbow, you'll break a bone, you'll break your heart, you will grieve around death. But the reason we suffer the pain is because we are mentally attached to a different idea of how things should have been. So if somebody dies, our pain is painful, no doubt about it. But our suffering comes because we are resisting the reality that we die. So in terms of the everyday pandemic, of course it's painful. Viruses happen, epidemics happen, we get infected, we get diseased. This is part of our biological nature. But the reason why it's more hard is because we believe it should not happen. So when you begin to train your mind to become your spiritual armor, your mind, you see, is your only curse, your only enemy, and your only ally. There is no other ally or curse or enemy other than your own mind. Because our mind has been complacent, has been under the lure of our control, when things hit that mind with their out of control nature, we resist. And the suffering comes from this resistance. So in the everyday pandemic, we don't like that we can't go out when we want to go out. We don't like that we have to wear a mask and take care of our fellow citizens. We don't like that our children are at home every single day. We don't like not knowing when the hell this pandemic will be over. We don't like this and we don't like that and we don't like this. And we're like, it should not be, it should not be, it should not be, it should not be. So in America, many of us were very happy because we could blame our president, because there's a lot to possibly blame. And we kept pointing the finger at him, at him, at him, at him. And he gave a lot of temporary respite in a strange, sort of bizarre way, even though he created great discomfort. It was lovely to be able to blame him. But the wise understand that he is a caricature of our imagination. He is a contortion of culture. He is not a he, because you and I are not a you and I. Everything is interconnected. So we can blame one person, we can blame China, we can blame the virus, we can blame Australia for having a great prime minister. We can blame anyone you want. Blame your ex, blame your ex's mother. It doesn't matter. None of whatever you're blaming exists separate from your own mind. Your mind decides how severe the X factor is. Even when it is President Trump, even then, when it's like so clear for some of us, even then, when it's like so clear, like, come on, this is black and white. There is no disputing. How can I be creating this in my head? But the fact remains that no matter how blasphemous, egregious, cruel, evil, preposterous the outer reality is, ultimately, the outer reality harbors its safe zone in your mind. It settles in. The ship is in the harbor. No matter how toxic the ship, no matter how poisonous the ship, where is the ship resting? Or if it's sailing, on which waters? In your mind. You are the ocean, you are the harbor. So if you don't want to accept that, that's fine. And you will keep suffering. There is a difference between pain and there is a difference between suffering. Pain is painful. You pinch me right now, I'm going to go, ow. But if I keep going for the next 10 hours, why did you pinch me? You shouldn't have pinched me. Let me pinch you back. Ow, ow. Now I can't believe you pinched me. How could you pinch me? I'm betrayed that you pinched me. I could go on for 16 days about you pinching me. But that means I am not in the moment of the pain. I am now in the mental anguish of my own caricaturing mind. I am contorting my mind to create stories around the pinch. The pinch was painful, but the suffering is now mine, and it's therefore optional. Anything beyond the present moment is now in your mind. Anything that is occurring beyond this instance right now is now occurring in your mind. So there's a story of two monks, a wise monk and an apprentice, walking down a forest and crossing a river. And as they were crossing the river, they had to carry their bags so the bags don't get wet. So it was a wide river and it was heavy and the bags were heavy. And as they got to the other shore, they could take the bags off the back and carry it regular. One of the monks, the apprentice, kept complaining, "Oh, my back is hurting. Oh, my back is hurting. Oh, my back is hurting." And the wise monk said to the apprentice, "You still complaining about the bag on your back? It's not even on your back. So now it is in your mind." So this is the effects of our memory. This is the effects of our mental attachments. We keep going and going and going and going. And it is in this recycling of that which was in the past wherein lies our suffering. The event happened, but we're still carrying stuff on our back that isn't even on our back anymore. Why? Because our mind is still attached to that moment. Our mind is still in that past. It's not here right now. And when we begin to train our mind to move away from being our enemy to being our ally, what we begin to do is take our mind from the should have and the could have and the what ifs, and we direct our mind back into the now. This is the only way to train your mind. When you leave the pain of what was or what should have been, or what could have been, and we enter the isness of the present moment. And every time you make that shift from what was, or what should have, or what could have, to, well, what is, your suffering automatically decreases. So say you're still in physical pain right now. Say you're still in emotional pain right now. You say to me, but Dr. Shefali, my moment right now is painful. So then the answer to that is a surrender to the isness. Yes, I'm right now in pain. Pain, more pain. I see my pain. I feel my pain. I feel like I am in pain. I'm in pain. And you can observe your pain in the present moment. You can allow your pain in the present moment, but you stay right here. You don't create a narrative around the pain. You don't create a story around the pain. You simply say, the isness is painful. It is painful. It feels painful. Pain is right here, right now. And you stay with this surrender moment after moment after moment. Now, this is where the power of your mind comes in, because anytime you stray from this acceptance and surrender of the pain, painful, painful. Oh my goodness, painful. Staying here is where your power lies. And any straying away from this to thoughts such as, why the hell is it painful? How can I still be in pain? Why am I still in pain? This should not be this way. I should be not in pain. I should be able to be in a different state of mind. Thoughts like that, or more thoughts like, how dare you put me in pain? Why did you say this? Why, or how, or when? All these questions are our resistance to the isness of pain. And any thoughts that are outside the surrender to the it is now cause suffering. Your capacity to know when you are in the isness of the present moment, to where you are diverting into a story, lies your power. Your capacity to do the present moment awareness and recognize when you're in the present moment, to moving away from the present moment to a story of how things should have been, could have been, how could they, how, when will they, is the difference between a victim, the difference between a warrior consciousness, a superior spiritual warrior, to a victim consciousness. Staying with the isness of the pain. It's painful. It's painful. I feel pain. I notice pain. I'm in pain. I observe pain. I'm going to sit with the pain. I'm going to ride the pain. I'm going to feel the pain. Pain is here. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. Ooh, you're still here. I see you. I feel you. I hear you. And just staying there is superior spiritual warriorship. Staying with the isness. 2, victim consciousness, where you go into, why am I in pain? I shouldn't be in pain. How dare I be in pain? Why did you put me in pain? Whose fault is it? Let me look for someone to blame. Maybe I'll blame myself today. Maybe I'll blame my mother tomorrow. Blame takes you and sinks you into the despair of victim consciousness. At the end of the day, you are in charge of where your mind goes. You may think it's the president's fault. You may think it's the mother-in-law's fault. You may think it's the kid's fault. You may think it's the weighing machine's fault. You may think it's the banana bread's fault. Why is it so delicious? It's nobody out there that is at fault. No thing out there that is at fault, because the thing out there is a ship at sea or in the harbor. And the sea or the harbor is your mind. So it all depends on your inner terrain. How is your inner climate? How is your inner landscape? Are you able to stay in the isness? Or are you creating a whole story based on your emotional baggage, based on your patterns, based on your complacency, based on your petulance? Are you having a tantrum because you don't like reality as it is? Yeah, it's effed up. Humans are effed up. What is new? The next time you're betrayed by somebody, the next time somebody is cruel to you, the next time somebody is really, really not smart, aka dumb, ignorant, stupid, you have to say that's human nature. What are you thinking humans are? Where do you think you live? You live in an imperfect existence created and co-created by you and imperfect humans. There is no such thing as perfection. It is your idealism of your toddler consciousness that has made you believe in a fantasy that one day rainbows and sprinkles and the white horse with a prince on it will come and rescue you. This is your fantasy. If I'm rich enough, if I'm thin enough, if I'm pretty enough, if I'm nice enough, if I'm sweet enough, if I'm quiet enough, if I'm pleasing enough, then I will be happy. This is the utopia that is of a toddler consciousness. A wise consciousness, an adult consciousness, realizes very quickly and slowly, because it takes a long time to get there. But once you get there, you realize, it's all imperfect. The perfection is in the consistency of the imperfection. It's so brilliantly imperfect, that's where the perfection is. It's so brilliantly impermanent that that's where the constancy is. When you realize the paradox of this existence called life, you stop fighting. Sure, you are momentarily appalled. If you're in America and watching American politics, I mean, you cannot help but being appalled because of the extreme nature of the egregious ignorance we're seeing. But besides the momentary appalling, you have to say, oh, this is human nature. And as I described it a few weeks ago, we are all on a continuum of consciousness. We are similarly on a continuum of intelligence. We are on a continuum of compassion. We're in a continuum of empathy. Some of us are high. Some of us are really, really, really undeveloped low. Sorry, this is the way it is. We all look we're all the same. We're all Homo sapiens after all, supposedly sapient in nature. We're like, you look like me. You've been to school, you graduated, you have children. You're a mother. So you're expecting a different level of consciousness, empathy, intelligence. Well, when you don't get it, then you are completely in resistance. You're angry. Instead, you need to go, I didn't realize the level of consciousness or the level of empathy or the level of intelligence. Stupid me. I didn't realize because I don't know how to read people along the continuum. I'm thinking everyone's going to be like I want them to be. If I think this way, you should think this way. If I feel this way, you should feel this way. And then when you don't, I'm very upset and very betrayed. Unfortunately, this dimension we live in is more on the lower side of consciousness, of empathy, of intelligence. This dimension is more on the lower side of the continuum of intelligence, empathy, compassion than we would like to accept. That's why I had to say it twice. Than we would like to accept. Now, is it every child's birthright to grow in a home that is empathic, compassionate, loving, unconditional, accepting, and validating? 100%. It is every freaking child's right to be born in a home that is honoring, that is respecting, that is loving, and that is kind. But you and I both know that for the most part, most children are not born in such a home. Now, you and I could stomp our feet and scream till our veins pop out at the injustice of this reality. Trust me, I'm a coach, I'm a therapist. I hear painful stories from children's past that break my heart. I want to jump into the person's life, put them on my back, and run away with them. I want to rescue and save every single child who has had a horror for a childhood. But I have now learned that sadly, this is more the reality than it isn't. So what does that teach me? It teaches me that I have a choice. I can either get really pissed off every single day, really angry, really upset, resentful, and embittered. I can begin to turn against people, turn away from people, never trust people again. That's probably pretty wise. But I could totally shut myself down in cloaks and cloaks of egoic defenses to protect me from evil. Or I could go into wisdom consciousness and understand, use my discernment and understanding that this is part of this dimension called humanity. It is part and parcel of our human consciousness. Everyone is not on the same point of consciousness. This is the bitter but undeniable, unequivocal truth of our existence. So if you are an adult right now, a woman or a man, who looks back at their childhood and knows that it was a horror show to some degree or the other, understand that this is the human dimension. It's not you who were unlucky to get a bad parent. It's not you who were bad, so you deserve something bad according to the laws of karma. No, it just is the way it is. Parents and adults are not any smarter or wiser for their age. Most of us are damaged goods. Most of us were raised by adults who had severe lack of empathy, compassion, intelligence, and consciousness. So if you are an adult in severe emotional pain, carrying the burden of your scars from childhood, know this, that the time to heal is now. And the person to heal that wound within you is you. Because the isness is the isness. It was effed up, it is effed up, it will be effed up. It just is. So yes, you are in shock by your childhood, or you're in shock when somebody does something mean to you because of their childhood. But this is just the nature of emotional pain. We are all in emotional pain to some degree or the other. We are all damaged goods to some degree or the other, and we're all recovering from our childhoods to some degree or the other. Some of us become narcissistic, evil, cruel, sociopaths. Some of us become pleasers and empaths, and we become codependent. Some of us fall under the weight and become addicts. Some of us lose our way, some of us find our way, some of us become overachievers, some of us become over losers. It doesn't matter. It just is what it is. And now, in this moment in time, the choice is yours. To keep staying in a victim consciousness, enslaved and slayed by your past or by the other or by him or her or it or they, or decide, you know what? It's all painful. If I look here, it's painful. If I look there, it's painful. If I'm really lucky, I'll have a non-painful day. But the suffering part is up to me. And the suffering part can only be eliminated when I surrender with grace and wisdom to the acceptance that it's a shit show, that it is what it is. Doesn't mean I don't take action. Doesn't mean I don't become empowered. But the first place starts and ends with the isness of the reality. Our acceptance, our seeing, our understanding of the isness of reality. When we accept, okay, it was a shit show. Okay, it was painful. It is painful. It is. Now, once we accept and we realize that there is no blame, but the isness of humanity, now I take the charge of my healing in my own hands. And now I empower myself to say, okay, it is what it is in the now. And now what? What do I do with this now? Right? Not in the, okay, what now? In a passive way, waiting for the prince to come. No, now what do I do with this now? The healer is you. The agent of change is you. The harbinger of your new horizon is you. You bring your new reality into your life by how you interpret your mind, how you interpret your thoughts, how you interpret your belief systems. So the transition from it is painful to it is suffering occurs within your mind. You hold that key that takes you out of the home of pain into the abyss of suffering. You hold that key. So notice when you turn the lock and leave the room of the isness of pain and enter the abyss of suffering, you are doing it. You don't see you doing it because we're conditioned in such a way that it's habitual. It's knee-jerk. We just leave pain and enter suffering so easily. And we're like, this is reality. No, 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 no. Reality has two parts to it. Pain, which is bloody painful. It's excruciatingly difficult and challenging. Pain is painful. Death is painful. Physical pain is painful. Terminal illness is painful. End of a relationship, painful. But that's the isness of the reality. But the movement away from that into suffering is your transition, is your travel, is your journey. It's not what life gives you. Life gives you a shitload of pain. But the suffering is where you marry the reality and create your own masala, as they say in India, your own spicy soup, your own stew. That's what we do. We are all stewing in suffering and we're calling it pain. And only when you know the difference will you take charge of your mind, your destiny, your life, and your present, and move from victim consciousness to spiritual warriorship. Now, spiritual warriorship has to occur on a every damn moment by moment by moment by moment basis. It's not a one-shot deal. I got it. I got it. No, 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 no. The minute you finish listening to this, you're going to go back into your conditioned reality, into your conditioned mentality. The moment I have spoken, you have forgotten. Why? Not because you're dumb, not because you're untrained or unable. It's because our minds have been so conditioned by culture to enter victim consciousness, because we have been trained to look outward. We've been trained to point fingers. And that looking outward, that habit, that addiction we have to blame the other, it's always the other, it's always the other, it's always the other. That is what causes the suffering. That's what changes pain to suffering. Because when we experience pain, for example, like somebody pinches me, I'm like, oh, that's painful. Okay. When we experience the pain as painful and stay there and own the isness that I am part of my reality now, anything that happens after I said, ow, is my co-creation. Now, staying with the pain, I have choices. Oh, I can move away from this pincher. I can wear thicker sleeves. I can never talk to this person again. I can run really fast. Oh, I have choices because I accept that I freaking got pinched. Versus victim consciousness, which stays right there facing the pincher and says, why did you pinch me? How could you pinch me? Will you stop pinching me, please? Should I change my hairstyle? Then you'll stop pinching me? What can I do so you can stop pinching me? Or pinches the person back. So then the person takes out a stone. Then you take out a stone, and so on and so forth. So suffering consciousness, victim consciousness, stands there and doesn't take action. It engages with the external reality because it believes the cause to problems and the solution lies in external reality. So we keep engaging with external reality, waiting for external reality to change. Now you suffer. The difference is recognizing pain is painful and holy cow, I have to do something about this now. I'm a co-creator. The minute I realize pain is painful, I'm now co-creating my reality. So how am I going to co-create my reality? Am I going to take empowered action, create boundaries, make space, release, say no, say yes, go in, go out? What am I going to do? Versus suffering consciousness, which is blaming the external, going, okay, why, how? Let me yell back at you. Let me react. Let me play with you. And when you play with the external, you suffer because you're engaged in that level of vibration, in that consciousness. Big difference. Accepting the isness of the isness and your co-creation bolts you into superior action. It sends you on a path of direct guidance and alignment and movement into a new reality. You're like, okay, what can I do? What is in my control? Suffering consciousness keeps you mired in your lack of control because it keeps you tethered to the external reality, and you stay in that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Why are you doing that? And then you just keep watching news and waiting for the right president and waiting for your mommy to come. And they never come. And as long as you're tethered to the external world, you will stay passive, you will stay suffering, you will stay in agony and anguish, up when the external world is making you happy, and down, hurtling down the slippery slope of despair when the external world doesn't give a shit. So you have to decide, where is my supreme charge? It's here, in my capacity to understand, accept, discern the isness along the continuum of consciousness, intelligence, empathy, and compassion, and take direct action, because I am a co-creator of my reality. So keep this in mind as you move forward in your world, about to sink into victim consciousness. Snap out of it. There is no such thing as a victim consciousness or victim consciousness. Now, can you be a victim to somebody? Of course. Every child is a victim of their parent. Victim is simply the person who has, by fate, by destiny, by size, by gender, put themselves or is in a place of a lower hierarchy. That's all. Don't ever blame a victim. Victim consciousness is different, is where the victim believes that they had no power in anything after that moment of being victimized, and they create a victimized consciousness. Very different. So victim consciousness is very different from being a victim. If a person has been raped, they are a victim of rape. If they have a victim consciousness of being raped, now that's a different story. So recognize the pivotal difference between pain. When pain is painful, that is allowed. That is normal. That is natural. Allow for the pain to be painful. It's freaking painful. But watch your mind as it slips down the labyrinth of suffering. Suffering is optional. Okay, everyone, thank you for listening to Viral Wisdom number 72. And if you need help, I have coaches who are willing to help. Hashtag help in the subject line when you email me at office@dr for doctor, Shefali.com. Hashtag help, and I will connect you with a coach. You get a 30-minute free consultation with one of my brilliant coaches, and then you can set up your own arrangement. And if you want to become a conscious parenting coach, we will be opening our doors in February. But I have something very exciting coming tomorrow. So keep an eye on my Facebook page, on Instagram, on my stories. And maybe if you're on my mailing list, you'll get a letter about it. I have something fun and exciting for the holidays. So enjoy, have a great or isness of whatever it is. Thanksgiving here, if you're in America and you celebrate, or wherever you are, make it a celebration every day. Bye, guys. See you when I see you.